Have you ever really stopped and thought about how the things around you are actually made? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and uncover the fundamental recipe. Yep, the secret ingredients that go into every single thing you use, from the simplest object to the most complex piece of tech.
I mean, really think about it for a second. The chair you're sitting in right now, the phone that's probably in your hand, the clothes you're wearing, none of it just magically appeared, right? Each and every one is the result of a pretty fascinating and complex process. Today, we're going to break that entire process down into its most basic, essential parts.
And what's really amazing is that this fundamental recipe, it applies to literally everything. It doesn't matter if we're looking at a craftsman carefully carving a piece of wood into a boat, a process that's been around for centuries, or, on the other hand, the absolute cutting-edge technology it takes to build and launch a satellite. The scale is completely different, the complexity is worlds apart, but the core ingredients, the principles behind how they're made, they are exactly the same. And here it is. This is the key concept for our entire discussion today. Economists call these universal ingredients the factors of production. That's the official term. You can think of them as the foundational building blocks that every single business, every creator, every producer combines to create all the goods and services that shape our world. So let's dive in and take a closer look at this recipe. All right, so every great recipe starts with the basics, right? Well, in the recipe for everything, our most foundational ingredients are the non-human elements. These are the physical resources of our world, and we group them into two main categories: land and capital.
So first up, we've got land. Now, when an economist talks about land, they mean so much more than just a plot of ground. It's really a catch-all term for all the gifts of nature. Think of it as every natural resource we use. That includes the fertile soil for farming, the forests that give us timber, the water in our rivers, the minerals and oil deep underground, even the air we breathe and the sunlight that powers all of life. These are the raw materials the planet provides.
And this picture here just illustrates the concept perfectly. In agriculture, the connection is so direct and obvious. A farmer uses land in the form of fertile soil, combines it with water from rain or rivers, and relies on sunlight for the crops to grow. These natural resources are the primary inputs. They're the absolute starting point of the entire food production process. Without land, you can't even begin. Okay, next ingredient, capital. And it's super important we get this term right. While capital does include money, in the context of production, we're really talking about physical capital. These are the durable, human-made things that are used to produce other things. So a factory building, that's capital. The hammer and saw a carpenter uses, that's capital. The delivery trucks, the computers in an office, all of these are capital resources. Just take a look at this car assembly line. This is a perfect, huge-scale example of physical capital in action. The entire factory, the conveyor belts, the robotic arms, all the specialized tools the workers are using, every bit of it is capital. This massive investment in human-made resources is what allows a company to take raw materials and transform them into a finished car, efficiently and on a massive scale. Okay, so we've got our natural resources, our land, and we've got our tools and machinery, our capital. But those things just sit there. They don't do anything on their own. They need to be activated, organized, and operated. And that brings us to the most important ingredient of all, the human element. Now, we need to make a really crucial distinction here between what we call labor and what we call human capital. Labor is just the work itself, the physical and mental effort that people put in. But human capital goes a step deeper. It's about the quality of that labor. For instance, a construction worker provides essential physical labor, but a surgeon provides labor that's been magnified by years of education and training. That specialized skill, that is human capital, and it's what lets them perform a life-saving operation. So, if human capital is that important, how do we build it? Well, it's a lifelong process, really. It starts with education, which gives us our foundational knowledge. Then comes specific training, which teaches us skills for a particular job. Healthcare is also absolutely critical because a healthy workforce is a more productive workforce. And even social and cultural influences play a huge role. A society that values craftsmanship or innovation will naturally develop that kind of human capital. And this is exactly why economists see education as one of the most powerful investments a country can possibly make. Every single rupee spent here is a direct investment in the nation's future productivity. You're equipping the next generation with the tools and the knowledge they'll need to solve tomorrow's biggest challenges. Now, look at this number, 65%.
According to the Economic Survey of India 2024, that's the portion of India's population under the age of 35. That single number represents a massive, massive opportunity. Economists call it a demographic dividend, a window of time where a country has more working-age people than dependents. Now, if you can equip this huge young population with the right skills and education, with human capital, they can fuel incredible economic growth. But if you don't, that dividend can turn into a huge social challenge. It's a critical window of opportunity.
So let's recap. We have land, labor, and capital. But even with all those ingredients laid out on the counter, we're still missing something, aren't we? We need a chef, someone to combine them in a new and better way. We need a spark. And that's where our final dynamic factors come in: entrepreneurship and technology.
So what exactly does an entrepreneur do? Well, they're the innovators, the visionaries. They look at the world, they see a need or a problem, and they come up with an idea for a new product or a new service. But an idea isn't enough, right? The entrepreneur is the one who actually takes the risk. They're the one who goes out, gathers the land, hires the labor, and gets the capital, and then combines them all to turn that vision into a reality. They are the organizers and the risk takers.
And here we have a classic example of that spirit in action: J.R.D. Tata. He didn't just see a business opportunity in aviation. He had a vision for connecting India. He took on the immense risk, combining land for airports, capital for planes, and skilled labor like pilots and engineers to create India's very first airline. He exemplified that belief that a business isn't just there to make money, but to serve and build up society. That's the heart of entrepreneurship.
And finally, we have technology. You can really think of technology as the secret sauce in our recipe. It's a force multiplier. And it's not just about computers and robots. Technology is the application of any scientific knowledge to the production process. A better technique, a smarter way of organizing things, a new machine. All of that is technology. Its whole job is to make all the other factors more efficient, letting us produce more and better with the same amount of effort.
And what's amazing is just how broad this category is. I mean, on one hand, you have the wheelbarrow, a simple, almost ancient piece of technology that still drastically improves a worker's ability to move things. And on the other hand, you've got a surgical robot, a complete marvel of modern engineering that lets a surgeon perform incredibly complex procedures. The scale is wildly different, but their function is the same. Both are technology that enhances what we humans are capable of doing.
Okay, so we've gone through all the individual ingredients in our recipe for everything: land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, and technology. Now let's put it all together and see how they combine in a real-world example that, let's be honest, is probably in your pocket right now: a mobile phone. Let's just walk through it. It all begins with human capital, a team of brilliant engineers in R&D dreaming up new features. Then, an entrepreneur acquires land for a factory and invests in capital, the building and all the machinery. Next, they have to get the raw materials, like rare earth minerals, which is another form of land. Then, labor and technology come together, as skilled workers use advanced tools to assemble the phone. Human capital and technology team up again as engineers test for quality. And finally, capital and labor work together for mass production and getting the phones out to stores. You see how they're all woven together at every step? So we understand the recipe now. We know what it takes to produce things. But that brings us to one final and maybe the most important question of all. How should we use this incredible power of production? This brings us to the idea of producing with a purpose. Because when you think about it, combining these factors gives businesses immense power. And with that power comes great responsibility. There's a responsibility towards the environment, to use our natural resources, our land, in a sustainable way. There's a responsibility towards people, to treat labor fairly with good wages and safe conditions, and to invest in their human capital. And then there's a broader responsibility to society as a whole, to operate ethically, often through what's known as corporate social responsibility, or CSR. And this right here is a perfect picture of what responsible production looks like in the real world. Instead of just dumping industrial wastewater and polluting our land factor, a responsible company invests in capital, like this treatment plant, to clean and recycle that water. This is sustainability in action. It protects the environment, it conserves a vital resource, and ensures the long-term health of the entire production ecosystem for generations to come. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. The framework we've talked about today, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, all amplified by technology. It's like a new pair of glasses you can use to see the world. So the next time you pick up your phone, or drink a cup of coffee, or sit in a car, just pause for a second. Try to deconstruct it. See if you can spot the secret ingredients,
all the different factors of production that had to come together perfectly to bring that product into your hands.